Behind prison walls, the days feel slower, heavier, and final. A man sits, knowing time has run out, surrounded by silence, broken only by questions he avoided for years. Tape recorders click on, capturing words meant to explain the unexplainable. Outside, the world waits for answers. Inside, a voice begins to speak, not directly, but carefully, circling truth instead of naming it. These recordings would become some of the most disturbing evidence ever collected, revealing how confession, denial, and control collided during the final days of a killer facing the end. Before his crimes were fully understood, Ted Bundy was often described as intelligent, articulate, and charming. He attended college, volunteered for political causes, and blended easily into social spaces. This outward image allowed him to gain trust quickly, particularly in environments where he appeared safe and familiar. Media coverage initially reflected this confusion, struggling to reconcile his appearance with the growing list of accusations. His ability to manipulate perception became one of his most effective tools, delaying suspicion and allowing violence to continue unnoticed, while victims remained unaware of the danger hidden behind a carefully constructed persona. Between the early 1970s and his eventual arrest, Bundy committed a series of murders across multiple states. His crimes followed patterns of deception and control, targeting young women and exploiting moments of vulnerability. Law enforcement agencies struggled to connect cases spread across jurisdictions. Eventually, witness descriptions, forensic evidence, and survivor testimony led to his arrest. Bundy was convicted in separate trials, receiving death sentences that reflected the scale of his crimes. Public attention intensified as details emerged, transforming him from a suspect into one of the most notorious criminals in American history. While incarcerated, Bundy pursued appeals aggressively, delaying execution for nearly a decade. He gave interviews, wrote letters, and maintained his innocence publicly. Psychologists noted his fixation on control, even while imprisoned. By refusing to admit guilt, he preserved attention and bargaining power. His interactions with investigators were strategic, offering insight only when it benefited him. This prolonged denial frustrated victims' families and law enforcement alike. Yet behind closed doors, pressure mounted. As execution dates approached, officials recognized that his desire to speak might finally outweigh his need to deny responsibility. In his final years, Bundy began participating in recorded interviews with investigators and psychologists. Rather than confess directly, he spoke in the third person, describing how someone like him might commit such crimes. These statements revealed chilling psychological detail without explicit admissions. Over time, fragments of truth emerged, aligning with known evidence and unsolved cases. The tapes captured calculated language, emotional detachment, and moments of self-awareness. Investigators believed he was attempting to control the narrative until the end. Though incomplete, these recordings provided valuable insight into his methods and mindset, offering confirmation long denied. For families, the tapes delivered painful validation rather than closure, reinforcing the reality of loss while exposing how calculated cruelty can coexist with calm, measured speech preserved permanently on magnetic tape. As execution neared, Bundy increased his cooperation, offering last-minute information in exchange for delays that never came. Investigators listened, knowing time was nearly gone. On January 24, 1989, he was executed in Florida after years of appeals. Outside the prison, crowds gathered through the night, some celebrating justice, others mourning lost lives. The execution ended his ability to manipulate the system, but not the damage he caused. His death closed all remaining appeals, while unanswered questions lingered in case files, memories, and families still searching for meaning and acknowledgement across communities and history worldwide over decades. This case shows how manipulation can persist even at the edge of death, refusing to release control until the very end. The recorded tapes stand as unsettling evidence of calculated denial and delayed truth. They remind us that accountability matters, that victims must always remain the focus, and that justice is not about spectacle. Even when confessions come late, truth still carries weight, echoing long after a killer's voice is finally silenced and forgotten by history.